Alright, I wanted to do a different type video. It's like a how-to series, or how I do it. Anyway, you know, we take for granted that everybody just knows the simple stuff, and to me it's simple, but to someone else it might not be. So I just thought I would do a little video, a series, and show you the things, or the way I do things. It might be different than some of you guys. So anyway, stay tuned to this series, and if you like this idea and you want to see more, let me know in the comments below. And let's say that you want to know about a different technique that I'm not mentioning in this. Well, let me know and we'll do that. So just comment, let me know what you think about this. Alright, this is the introductory I'm going to use for all of the series. Let's go. Okay, one of the staples I use fishing is the Texas rig. The Texas rig, to me, if I only had one lure period that I could use, I wouldn't say lure, one technique I guess you could say, it would be the Texas rig. It's just, it's so versatile. You can do so much with that, and I'm gonna try to cover the ways I use it here in this video. Alright, first of all, what I use is these, I hope it comes to these 6 Sense Peg X stoppers. In fact, came in focus or not, I hope it did. And I use a good tungsten steel sinker. Now the reason I use tungsten, I wish I would have, alright, like this is like a 3/16 ounce sinker. See how tiny it is? Let me get it going there. Okay, it's a tiny sinker. If this was a lead sinker, it would be twice the size of this. So when you're coming through brush piles, this gets hung way less than a big sinker. So that's the main reason that I like to use tungsten. Or another reason I like tungsten is if it's all the way in his mouth. Like this is a big worm that I use sometimes. If it's all the way in its mouth, this sinker is smaller than the worm. So when you set the hook, you basically rip it out of his mouth. If it's a big sinker, then it sometimes opens the mouth and the hook comes out without getting a hook set. So it improves your hook sets also with a good tungsten. Now, these, I use the Strike King insert free. There's a lot of good companies out there, Dalton Tungstens, who I probably should use because they're right down the road from me. And you know what, I need to do that. But anyway, that's beside the point. So I use a good quality insert free sinker because it's steel, it's not lead. This don't give any, so it will tear your line up. So insert free really helps save your line in the long run. Okay, couple ways I do it, or the way I do it. Okay, like I said, these sinker stoppers, I get these at Academy. They're cheap. Alright, they come like this. I know that's not coming in focus. They come on a little piece of metal. Alright, now the way I do it, I always peg my sinker. Always. So, what I do, first of all, to peg it, ooh, I should have put my glasses on for this. Let me get back one of these bad boys on here. And I've got white line here. The reason I've got white line is so you guys can see it better. So I'll put this through the little metal piece, the little metal loop. Then you slide this on there. And slide it past the double line where you double it through. Usually I don't double it quite that far. I've done it a long time, or long ways, just to show you this. Okay. Now, next you want your sinker. Alright, now my sinker's on there. Like I said, I'm using this white line just to show you, for demonstration purposes. Alright, the hook size, what matters with the hook size is, to me, I like a strong hook, and I use Trocar. And your hook, spend the money on the hook. Spend the money on the sinkers. They're expensive, but how many times do you lose a sinker fishing this way? I might lose 2 a year. So spend the money on a good sinker and a good hook. I mean, the hook matters. I mean, that's, when you put it on your thumbnail and slide it, and it don't slide, that's a sharp hook. Now, this one's used. I wonder if it'll still do the same way. Yeah, that's still sharp also. That matters. Alright, story time. There's a little barb on this hook. I was fishing a tournament, KBF tournament. Had enough fish on to really do well in that tournament. Well, I lost 4 fish in a row. Never could figure out why at the tournament. Next time I went fishing, still had the same tide on there, went there, and my barb, when I noticed it, my barb was folded back. So, if you're in a serious situation, be sure to check your barb. Make sure it's back like that way and not forward. I was basically fishing a barbless hook. Alright, so you want to use a hook gap that fits the size worm you're going to use. Like this worm right here. This is a 12-inch Zoom Old Monster. I use this pretty often. Now, you got a gap. That means once you set the hook, this can come through and you got enough room to actually hook the fish. Okay, I wouldn't want to use a small gap hook on this worm because there wouldn't be enough room to get the hook in the fish once you set the hook. Okay, but then again, I wouldn't want to use this big hook in a small worm because it just looks awkward and it doesn't look natural. You want this to look natural. All right, now back to business. So now, I got my bobber stopper. Not bobber stopper, sinker stopper. Okay, then I've got my weight. Now, here's where I do, I've never seen anybody else do this. This has been a secret of mine that I've kept close to my chest. But you know what, we'll share a little knowledge. What I do is add another bobber, peg, sinker, whatever you want to call this thing. What was it called for sure? Peg X stopper. Alright, we got to get it through that little hole. And you guys that don't have a problem seeing yet, it's coming. Alright, now I got it through the little metal loop. Now what I want to do is pull my peg stopper, whatever this is called, my little rubber sinker stopper. How about that? Pull it. Now, and I pull this out of the way. This is basically, this is the rod end, and this is the end that's going to go to my hook. Alright. The knot I tie is a Palomar knot. I tie it this way. Now you can double your line and stick it through, or you can stick it through and come back through and stick it back through again on this side. Alright, I pull enough to make sure I can get the hook through. Or I'm grabbing both ends of my line, and there's this. Now, I'm going to tie, I'm going to double it, tie a regular overhand knot, simple knot. Then you want to bring the hook through the loop. Try to make sure it's not twisted. It makes for a better knot. Now once you get it through, you just pull. That line's going nowhere. Nowhere. Not line, that knot. It's an awesome knot. The only time I've had this knot slip is on straight fluorocarbon. Small diameter fluorocarbon when I was trout fishing. Alright, so then you can cut this off as short as you want to. Oh, did I mention? Look at this. Travax. They have nice wallets, belts, everything. Use my code MDOA for a 10% discount. Alright guys. Now, so I've got my sinker, my hook, everything's tied up. Now what I want to do is bring this rubber stopper down. Now, the reason I do that is because it helps protect that knot. Remember I talked about how hard and how this is steel, how strong it is. Well, I try to prevent my knot from being damaged. And what you'll notice when you fish like this, probably 2 days of fishing, it'll tear this rubber up. Alright, now that I got it down, let me get me a worm. I love This Airtail Wiggler by Grande Bass. I mean, it's amazing. It floats and really floats tail up. You can put a rattler in it. Anyway, this is my worm of choice. Now, what I want to do is put this in the center of the worm and put it to where the straight part of the hook stops. Now, I'm going to bring it out, bring it all the way up my hook, and bring it over the eye. That little knot is sticking out just a little bit. Okay. Now, if I'm fishing a lot of heavy cover, right here's the bottom of your hook. Alright, right there's the bottom of the hook, and right here's my worm. You mark that, you bring it in. Now, I get me a good channel. A lot of times I go all the way through, like that. Then I'll come back, pinch my worm, and stick it, the tip of the hook in there just a little bit. Alright, now, drop your sinker, peg it. That's a fish catching thing right there. It's amazing. That bait right there is crazy. Now, you could throw it in brush. Rocks is a little different. I mean, you'll still get hung. If you get hung, you know, this is a very inexpensive rig. So now, you can fish at rocks. But what I was talking about earlier is if I'm fishing heavy cover, okay, I don't want just the tip of my worm in there. I'm not going to take it as far this time. I'm going to put it all the way through to make me a channel, but then I'm going to bring it back and leave it in the worm. Completely in the worm. Now you want this to be straight. For one, you don't want your line to twist when you're bringing it in, when you're reeling it. A twisted line is no good. For two, it looks natural. And my dad taught me how to fish Texas rig, boy, and that was one of his biggies and his pet peeves, and I guess this just came with me as I've grown up fishing. Keep a straight worm. He would holler at me, straighten your worm, boy. You know better than that. So, a straight worm is what you want. Now, the Texas rig. That's the basic Texas rig. The only thing I add to it is I peg the sinker and I put a peg underneath the bottom. Alright, now, that's what I love about the Texas rig. I can throw this in anything, cover, I can skip it under trees, I can do all kind of crazy stuff with it. Now, let's say that I don't want to fish this worm. Let's say I don't want to use, I'm going to take my stopper off. I think I got enough line here. Alright. I'll show you something else. Let me get another bag of worms. Okay guys, this is the Zoom Speed Worm, and it's the U-Vibe worm. Alright, there's a speed worm that has a flat tail, but these has a U-tail. Alright, the Zoom. See if that comes in. Alright. This is a crazy good setup. Now, on your rod, you don't have no sinker. I always have one of these tied up and a regular Texas rig with a sinker. So here you go. Rig it the same way. Come out. Now I'm going to put this back in there. Now I do like to have this one all the way through and hide my tip of the hook. Okay. Now you can put a small sinker on this. You could put a big sinker on this. I like fishing it like this. You could take this to a lake that has grass in it. You throw it and you reel it. And it's like a mini buzzbait coming through the grass. It'll come through grass with ease. And then when it hits them pockets, his tail's twirling. You can hear it on top of the water. Or you can drop it and swim it right below the water. I've got a video of one hitting that. I lost him. You know, I got a couple of videos of that. I'll put a link up above about those. So, and you can see how violent the strike is. This is a super fun way, and this is still considered a Texas rig. And a lot of people call this a swimming worm. Now Zoom has one. Strike King has, forget what they're called. I know Yum Dinger, or Yum has one called a Swim Dinger. So there's several different companies that has it. But to me, this Zoom one comes through the water the best. You definitely want a straight worm on this. The reason you want a straight one is because if not, it's going to spin like this and just going to tangle, spin your line up. Like I said, spin line is no good. Twisted line is no good. Alright, now what do I throw this with? I fish grass and a lot of cover, brush. Alright, so what I throw on the Texas rig with the sinker, the swimming worm, I use 50-pound braid. Braid, for one, if you're getting grass and you pull, it cuts the grass. 2, braid is super sensitive, and it's I mean, you can feel, it's just, when a fish hits it, you feel a lot better with braid. 3, it's 50 pounds, it's strong. And I have had them in cover. I got another video, I'll put a card up there, of one that I held, pulled the kayak to the right where the brush pile was, and then he come out and broke water. So check that video out. So, oh, I've lost me. My train of thought. When I was thinking about fishing, I get sidetracked. So, 50-pound braid is what I use. Some people like 20-pound mono. Some people like 15-pound mono. Whatever. That's something that you'll have to decide. But I like braid. I like 50-pound braid. What rod do I use? I want a good 7-foot, 6'8" or 7-foot or 7'2", somewhere like that rod. Medium heavy to heavy. And the reason you want that is because you have a single thick hook. So now you have a single thick hook that has to penetrate the worm before it goes into the fish's mouth. So you want some power behind it. That's why I use a St. Croix. So, dog's barking. I use a St. Croix Avid X, super sensitive with and it's a fast tip, extra fast tip. When I get a bite on when I'm running my Texas rig, now when you're reeling a swimming worm and they hit it, you make sure you feel it. When you feel it, you give it to them. All right, now when I'm using a regular Texas rig with the sinker and you feel him bump it, he bumps it, you want to stop, you want to feel for it, and just kind of lift your rod. And if you feel that rod moving, or you watch your line going sideways, you drill him. So you jack him. That's what you need to do. Guys, I hope I've covered everything with the Texas rig. The Texas rig is, I always have one tied on everywhere I go. It's my go-to bait. This Grande Bass one is my favorite. The Grande Bass Airtail Wiggler. Also the Rattlesnake Megatail, I think is what it's called. Let me show you one of those. Alright, these Megatails, really good too. And they're ribbed so the fish hold on to them. But that's got a lot of action coming through there, through the water. That's a really good bait that I use if that come in clear. And yes, I do have a deal with Grande Bass. Absolutely. But that's not why I'm telling you how good they are. I'm telling you how good they are because they're good. I don't have a deal with Zoom, and I told you about Zoom. Alright, so I don't know what else to tell you. If I left something out, be sure to ask me in the comments below. And I'm going to cover, this is part 1, and I'm going to cover about every technique I know. And it's just going to be a how-to, like I said, a how-to I do it. How-to series, or how I do it. Because I don't do it like everybody else. And, alright guys. Thank you so much for watching. And, let's go fishing sometime. Man, I'm ready to go. Talk to you later. Bye. Guys, I forgot one thing that I wanted to add to this. So, I use braid, like I said, almost all the time. Now, if I'm in a crystal clear lake, clear water, and I want to tie a knot I want to add a leader to it, I use the Alberta knot. Alberta. I don't know how you say it, but I'll go over that. If you want to know how I add a leader to it, then I'm going to add that video coming up soon. And once I add it, then I'll link it up above right here. So that's one thing I do, and I'll add a leader, 18-inch leader, 20-inch leader, not crazy. And the only problem with a leader is if you have micro guide eyes, is the knots sometimes hard to go through the eye. So that's why you want to sometimes use a shorter leader. So I wanted to add that part. And or you can just have another rod set up with some straight up 15-pound mono or something like that to use. But anyway, wanted to add that part. Thanks, guys. Oh, it's me again, Margaret. One other thing, you can use that Texas rig on like these Mega Claws that Grande has, or any other soft plastic bait. You can use that also. You can use it on a swim bait as well. So this time I'm done for real. See you guys. Thank you for watching.